Good afternoon, Michael. We're starting up right now. So let me make sure that the tape is on and then we will get going. I'm not sure what that means. Let's see, try that again. Yep. All right. All right. I'm hoping everybody can hear me. And if you can't, you're going to let me know. But it's kind of hard, I suppose. But if you don't hear anything on your end for a couple minutes, then please shout out or email me or whatever. All right, I sent this email out earlier this morning. I'm not going to read a bit of it. All right, what I did recommend was that with what we did yesterday, all right, we got to a certain point, but I was afraid we might have some people who were going to go out and try to do the install for MongoDB, and then we were only up to a certain point. Now, the good news is I have gotten it to work completely. There is a little bit of bad news, but I'll show you that once we get going. And what I'd like to do, all right, because Michael, you weren't in class yesterday. I realize that, which is fine. And you know, there were two people here yesterday. There was Clayton and there was John. But we got to a certain point, and what I'd like to do is kind of get back to that point because I want to show you all the steps to go through, okay? The only thing that I'm having problems with right now, everything works. I got on, everything was installed. I was able to get in. I was able to create databases. I was able to create collections. I was able to create documents. That's all good. The only thing that's bad, and it's almost funny, but it's not funny, is that for whatever reason, if you want to clear your screen in here, you're supposed to be able to type in CLS. It doesn't work for me. Now, maybe it'll work for you guys. I don't know. All right. But what I'm going to do, and I'm not trying to waste any of your time, but I'm going to go back and I'm going to repeat everything that I did yesterday. All right. Now, so that means with you guys that watched it yesterday, we're here live, you'll know basically when to come in. And if you don't, I'll let you know anyway. All right. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go out to control panel, and I should have everything in here from yesterday. All right, a bunch of Mongo stuff in here. I'm going to remove all of it and start all over again. So it will do the uninstall right now. One of them is done, and I did Compass also, which is going to be uninstalled there. They're both gone. So again, I know with you guys who were here yesterday, some of the first few steps that we do will be repeated, so you don't have to do them again. But Michael, if you have not yet loaded MongoDB, all right, then you can just follow along if you would, please. So let me change my share. So I'm back on the internet again. All right, so I'm back on the internet, and I'm going to go out right away to mongodb.com. All right. Now, two things about this. And the first, because I'm gonna do this nice and deliberately, so you should have time. But to register and basically be able to use everything that we're going to want to eventually be able to use, you want to click the try free button. Those of you who registered yesterday, you should be able to sign in. On the try free button, when you click on it, it comes up with this. So there's 5 things that you have to enter: your first name, your last name, your company, your email, and your password. What I'm asking people to do is when you get to the company, just put down rank in technical college. I didn't explain this yesterday, but One of the reasons I'm asking you to put down Rankin Technical College is occasionally when you either want to install some software or do certain things on here, some of which may cost money and some of which may not, typically they will ask. And if you're a student, they won't charge you anything. And that's why I just want to make sure. So again, like Michael McLean, Rankin Technical College, I'd appreciate it again if you'd use your Rankin email. You can always go back later and re-register if you decide you're going to do this for a living or you're going to do something outside of Rankin and put in a different email. And your password, again, you can show it as they say right there, all right, by clicking on the I, but make sure it's something that's private to you, but that you can remember, or else you write it down. All right. Okay. So with that said, I'm just taking for granted that you're able to do all that by yourself, and that's not a problem. Then what you can do is you can go over to products here, and I want you to go down to where it says Community Edition Community Server. This isn't exactly where we got there yesterday for those of you who were here yesterday, but it's going to take us to the same place. The community server is free, which is why we want this. All right, so I'm going to click on community server, and then it comes down and it shows you MongoDB community server, and it shows you the available downloads. You'll notice the current version here of MongoDB is 6.0.2. It should already have, recognize that your platform is Windows. You want the MSI, excuse me. It's easier to deal with the MSI than it is to deal with the zip. That's my opinion. You may or may not agree. If you're a big fan of zips, you can do that as well. All right. So I've got 6.02 current, Windows and MSI. I'm going to click download here, and it'll begin the download process in here. This is not a small download. As far as I remember, it's about half a gig. So especially if you've got an older machine or you're running up close as far as the amount of disk space you have, once you've done the install, you might want to go down to downloads or wherever yours is saved to and remove the file. So what does it say? It looks like 482 meg, it looks like. And it'll take, again, depending on the speed of your machine and your connection, anywhere from half a minute to a couple minutes. All right, mine is finished, Michael. I realize yours may not have, you'll have time. But once it does finish, I should be able to right click on here, excuse me, and choose open. Now, when it starts to go through the install process, it might jump here like this, or you might be asked, it might come in and say, hey, you need admin permissions, and just click yes. But this is the opening screen right here. I'm not going to read it to you. You can read it yourself. All right. When we did this yesterday, we clicked next, and that brought us up to the agreement. You can take the time to read it. You can copy it. You can do whatever. But until you click the I accept the terms of the license agreement, you cannot go on. So click that and go to next. Now, what happens here is it gives you everything when you click complete. All right. And when you click custom, basically you kind of pick and choose more or less of what you want. The recommendation for most users, and the one that I suggest too, is to just click on complete. Now, we did this yesterday. All right. Now, yesterday we left this all the way it was, and it's okay. So for you guys who did it yesterday, it's okay to do that. But you can also just click on here and just not select anything. It's going to be totally fine, because what we're going to do when we start, at least, is we are going to end up running this, and we're going to run it, all right, right from our local machine. All right. again, if you want to check it here, you can. It hurts nothing. All right, I'll even leave mine on. It's totally fine. And Michael, what you may want to copy is this data directory that's right here. That's going to be where all the magic takes place, so to speak. All right. Now, just so you know, there is nothing that says, all right, there is nothing that says you have to download it here. Had we selected custom, you could have just made a MongoDB folder and put it right on your C drive if you wanted to do that. All right. But I'm going to grab this. You won't see me do this because I don't have the time right now to keep doing share, change my share. But I'm just going to grab this and I copied it. So mine is C:\program files \MongoDB \server \6.0 \data. All right. And this is where we were yesterday too. We did this yesterday, but it does put it in your regular program files folder. And if you don't, if your main drive is not C, it's D or whatever, of course that'll change. Under your program files, it will make the MongoDB folder. Under the MongoDB, we'll have a server. Under the server, we'll have a 6.0. And under the 6.0, it'll have a data. Now, you don't see it on here right now, but under the data will be a bin folder, and that's where your executables are, just so you're aware of that. All right, so with all that there, and I copied that, I'm going to go to next. And it says basically, do you want to install Compass? And it really doesn't matter whether you do this or not. I mentioned yesterday that what we're going to end up working with starting either later this week or early next week is we're going to be working with something that's called Atlas, which is MongoDB's cloud-based service. When we work with that, you basically have a GUI that you're working with. You basically have a GUI. What we're going to be doing today is we're going to be working from a command line. The reason I'm telling you all this is MongoDB Compass allows you to take some of the stuff, actually most, if not all of the stuff that you do on the command line, and they have kind of a cheesy GUI that you can use for it. So you can either check it if you think you'd like to eventually use MongoDB Compass, or you can leave it unchecked. And I believe yesterday I said to leave it checked. It really and truly does not matter. All right. Okay. So I'm going to click next. And now it's basically saying it's ready to do the install. So as it says, if you think that you might have something wrong, you can click the back button and go back to the start. I'm okay where I am. I'm hoping that anybody watching this who is installing along with me is okay where they are, and click install. As far as the install itself, mine yesterday, I believe, now see, it's asking me for admin permissions there. Now, mine yesterday, I believe, took about maybe a couple minutes. But again, I have no idea as to the speed of the machines that you all have. All right, so yours might take a little more, yours might take a little less. And Michael, if you're listening, and if you have fallen behind or anything, or if you got a slow connection, please just let me know, okay?
Mr. Scott, just so you know, I did catch up with where you guys got to in class yesterday.
Okay,
So
that's fine.
You don't have to wait on me for anything.
All righty, thank you.
Mhm.
All right, so I'm finishing, and okay, everything looks fine as far as what I can tell. Now, again, I know you said you've done this, but I'm trying to be complete for people who may or may not have. What you have to do next is you have to go out to your C drive, and I'm going to remove what's there. This should be empty. No, it's not, because I started making databases. You need next to go out to your C drive, right to the C drive itself, or your main drive if it's not C. And then you need to create in there a folder called data, DATA, and it should all be lowercase. So right out under the C drive, create a data folder or directory. All right. And then open up that data directory and create a folder under there called DB. All lowercase for data, all lowercase for DB. And what that's going to end up doing is it's going to end up putting a lot of the stuff that you end up working on, it'll put it in that file. It's kind of like the home file for everything, for lack of better words. All right. So yesterday I did this. I just want to show you this because we're going to do this in a way that's going to work today. I'm sick and tired of doing stuff and having it half work and half not work. So yesterday, what we did was I came out, and if I can find it, I had people go in and copy in a couple lines of code. All right, but we had some problems getting them to work. All right, I wanted to show them to you, but I'm not sure exactly where that is right now. It's no big deal one way or the other. Oh, there it is. So yesterday I had everybody copy in these two lines, but then they changed them so that rather than saying 4.0, it said 6.0, but we still had problems. So being the good Googler I am, I did Google it and was reading a lot of stuff on this last night and found another way we can do it. Now, you don't have to worry about that file you created before, that, that bash profile. It's okay. It doesn't hurt anything. All right. You can go out. So you can go out and probably remove that file. I don't know if you can or not. I still have mine and my stuff works. But what I want everyone to do is this, and I'm going to have to change my share a couple times to show you everything that I want you to do. All right. So let me. All right. And now here's where you guys, all of you, can pick it up right here. Okay. So I'd like you all, let's see. Where is it? Come on. There we go. All right, so I'm over here on my C drive. And again, I'm not going to keep saying this. I'm sorry. Yours may not be C, but you get that. All right. So under the C drive, what I want you to do, just so you're sure you're in the right place, is under your C drive. Okay. Excuse me. Sorry. Sorry about that. Okay. So under your C drive, I want us to go to program files. Under program files, I want us to go to MongoDB. All right, there it is. Under MongoDB, I want you to go to server. Under server, I want you to go to 6.0. John mentioned yesterday, he said, I don't have a 5.0. That's mine from last year. So don't worry about that. All right, and even if you do have it, don't worry about it. You want to go to 6.0. And underneath there, you want to double click on bin. We're not going to touch a thing that's in here. And yours may not look exactly like mine. Don't worry if it does or does not. It's okay either way. But what I want you to do is to take your mouse, go up here into the address bar of where you currently are in Explorer, and copy that entire path. So again, mine is C:\program files \mongodb \server /6.0 \bin. Yours should be something at least relatively similar to that. All right, so take that and copy it to your clipboard. All right, why? Because we're going to do this a better way than we did it yesterday. All right, so I'm taking for granted that if I say to you down in the lower left-hand corner of your machine, right next to the Windows button, you should have a little box, which is your search box, that should say something like type here to search. Click inside of that box and type in the letters ENV, like short for environment, ENV. Now, yours may come up and look like mine. Yours may look different. Mine comes up right away and says, edit the system environment variables. And it's even got it here. That's the one that we want. All right. So where it says edit the system environment variables, I'm choosing that. All right. Now, what should happen then is you should have a dialog box that comes up that says system properties. And towards the right, there are a series of buttons. There's a button that says settings for performance. There's a button that says settings for user profiles. There's a button that says settings for startup and recovery. And then hopefully, at least, you've got a button under there that says environment variables. All right. Again, I'm going to keep going until somebody says, I don't have that, or I don't get what you mean, or whatever. I want you to find the button that says environment variables. It's a little wider than the other ones, and click it. Again, I don't know if this is showing on the screen or not, because it seems like every time I change screens, I'd have to redo a share. And I don't know if that'd make it easier for you to understand or harder. I don't know. All right. So I'm taking for granted then that you've got another dialog box that at the top says environment variables, and it has two boxes in it. The top box says user variables for JP Scott, mine does, and the bottom one says system variables. Again, I'm taking for granted yours is the same. Now, you may have to use the scroll bar here, but I want you to find the thing that just says path, not path, ext, or anything else, just path. All right, once you find path, take your mouse and single click on the word path. Don't double click on it, single click on the word path.
Is that the path in the user variables or the
No,
system
it's the
variables?
path in the system variables.
Okay.
It may not matter, but this is what it was. Like I said, I found this someplace online, and this is what they suggested, and it worked. So yes, the path and the system variables. Click on it, then click edit. Now you may have a few things in here. You may have a lot more things in here than I do. Either way, it doesn't matter. All right. But what I want you to do is to click the button on there that says new. And then I want you to paste in your C:\program files, whatever you just put in your clipboard. That is adding that to your path. That's what we tried doing yesterday with that bash profile, and it didn't like it. But it's basically saying, hey, when we go in and we attempt to start up Mongo, this is where you should go. And that's what we want to have happen. So if you got that in there, you click the OK button to get out of this one. Then you click OK again in the bottom right. All right. Then you got to click another OK back on your system properties thing. So it's 3 OKs to get yourself out of there. All right. And I'm taking for granted that that made sense to everybody and that it worked. All right. Now I'm back right now. I'm changing my share again, and I am going back. Whoops. I am going back in my share. I am going back. Come on, where are you? There you are. To the internet. All right. And back to MongoDB. All right. Part of the problem that we had yesterday was not you, but as usual, it was me. Because I didn't do a good enough job of reading through this thing in here. Because someplace in here, I don't remember where it is, but a product that used to be downloaded with this is no longer downloaded with this. All right. And that's what's called the MongoDB shell. All right. So what do you have to do? All right. I'm going to give you a URL. It's very similar to the one you have, but I'm going to put it down here because I don't want there to be any confusion. So let me write it out, and then I will change my share so that you can see it. All right. So all right, so I'm going to put that out there right now. So I'm going to change my share so that you can see that URL. You should be able to see it on your screen right now. I don't think you need anything except for this. All right, but that's the entire URL that you have to go to. I'm going to give you a minute to put that in, and then I'm going to switch over to it myself and switch my share back. There is a joke around the networking and hardware programs at Rankin, Wentzville, that Jeff is not a hardware guy, and I'm not. I'm not even really a great guy at, with downloads, etc. I can usually get by, but what I'm telling you is, I mentioned to you at the beginning of class that going through this stuff, that my clear screen doesn't work. So what I did this morning was I sent an email message to the MongoDB technical support staff telling them I literally chronicled everything I did in the download. And then I said, but I said Control L, which is supposed to clear the screen, or CLS, neither one of them work. I said, can you help me? The bad news is I'm just a little fish and I'm using this product and I'm not paying for it. So will they get back to me? My guess is yes. It may be a day, it may be a week, it may be a month, it may be 2024. I don't know. All right. So I'm taking for granted you all had time to key that in and you're there. So let me change my share again and join you. All right. So I'm going to come in here and I put in the same URL that I just told you to put in. All right. And you'll notice if you look, it looks somewhat similar to what we did before, but this is different in a couple ways. First off, it is called the MongoDB shell. It's the way we're going to be able to work with this at the command line, which is what we're going to do for a bit. Second of all, there's no MSI option. There's only a zip option rather, which I think stinks, but it's the way it is, and that's okay. All right. So what I'd like you to do, please, this is not a big file as far as I remember, but with that set, click on the download right here. And mine's downloaded already. So even if you've got a slow connection, it should download fairly quickly. All right. Then what I'd like you to do is to go over to wherever your downloads are. All right, so I can go and change my share again. Like I said, what I did may be a horse's butt way of doing it, but that's the way I did it and it worked. So mine, of course, is in my downloads folder. All right, I actually had it from yesterday and that's why it's got the one there, but where you don't have that, don't worry about that. So I'll get rid of the one from yesterday and I will take this one and I will rename it so it probably at least looks like yours does. There we go. No, there. All right. So as you'd guess, we want to unzip this or extract it. Now, I'm going to ask you to do what I did. What does that mean? Well, when you right mouse click on it, you should be able to choose extract all. All right, that's what we want. There's only 2 files in here. All right. Now, we don't want to extract it right here. We want to click the browse button. And we want to go back pretty much to where we were before. In other words, we want to go back to C:, program files, MongoDB, as I find it, server 6.0 bin. All right. And you can see I had it there from yesterday. All right. So I'm going to remove this. Okay. And I'm going to tell it to put it right there. We're still not done, but we're almost done. So I'm going to click select folder and I'm going to tell it to unzip it right there or extract it right there. It says it was enabled to create the directory. Ensure that the directory does not already exist. Yeah, it does. And that's why it's giving me those problems. All right. You should not get that error. I don't believe at least that you will get that error. So I'll tell you what I'll do just so I've got it. All right. I'm just going to come in here. You don't have to do this, but I'm going to go again back to my C drive, back to program files, back to MongoDB, back to server, back to 6.0. And rather than putting it in the bin, I'm just going to put it right here. All right. So I'm going to click select folder and I'm going to tell it to unzip it or extract it right there. All right. Again, it says I need permission. And there it goes. As I mentioned, it's 2 files, so it's not very big. All right. So I'm going to head over to where that folder is. All right. So in other words, I'm going to go to C:, program files, MongoDB, etc., etc. So server 6.0. Now I've got that folder over here. And I'm going to double click on it to open it. All right. And then I'm going to double click on the folder that says bin. And I'm going to grab these 2 files. One says mongosh.exe and one says mongosh or mongosh_crypt_something or other. But I'm going to grab both of those files and copy them to the clipboard. I'm going to grab them both and copy them to the clipboard. Then in your regular bin directory, all right, I think I've already got them here, but paste them in there. So in your regular bin directory, as far as executables, you should have mongodb.exe, mongos.exe, and the now put in mongosh.exe. Again, if I'm going too fast or if I confused you, I apologize, but please feel free to ask. We've got one more thing to do, and then we can test it to see whether or not it works. All right, I'm not hearing anything, so I'm taking for granted, maybe wrong, but I'm taking for granted. You know, I've got about a dozen steps here, and we're now on step 12. All right, you can close all of this stuff right now. You can close this. All right. Now, I found this online, but there was literally no explanation for what I'm about to tell you. All right, there was literally no explanation. All right, but I want to show it to you anyway, because you're going to have to do this, I believe, to get it to work. All right, so I'm going back here and I'm showing you this again. I'm on the C drive here. You have to go back to your main drive. This may take a little bit of time, but you've got to find a file in there, and I'll tell you the name of it in just a second because you have to rename the file. With me, the file that I'm going to tell you to find right now, I want to show you where it was for me. Yours may be in a similar place. Yours may be in a totally different place. But me, under C:, users, JP Scott, all right, so that's where I went, to C:, /users, /JP Scott, all right? And in there, I had a file, all right? And the file that I had, believe it or not, where I just showed you, that's where my bash profile that we did yesterday, that's where that is. No, we don't need that, all right? But what you hopefully will have in there, and again, if you don't see it there, you may have to search for it. I'm going to go and change my share again because I want you to be able to see exactly what I want you to do. Give me a second. There we go. All right, so I'm going to change my share one more time here. Okay. Yeah, I know. All right. Do you see on your screen right now, it says find this file and it's got a file name and it says change to this. Can somebody just answer? Do you see that on the screen?
Yes.
All right. You have to find this file, which again, I showed you where it was on mine. If you can't find it under, if you don't have a users followed by your name, you may have to go right to your C drive and search for it. Sorry about that. But you want to change it from that name to this name. How do I know that? Because I installed it yesterday and it didn't work, but it gave me a message. And it said, if this isn't working, find this file. And they said either rename it to this or make a copy of this and put it in here. Well, the funny thing is it's an empty file. But when I just copied it, it didn't like it. When I renamed it, as I'm showing you right here, it was cool with it. All right. So again, hopefully you either were able to already find that file, all right, or you have already found that file. Or if you're still looking, again, that's fine. And I'm not sure what the file does. I should have looked it up yesterday. I didn't. But it was empty. But the system needed it in order to do its thing. All right. So let me ask. I'm asking all three of you who are watching right now. Could you find the file? Yes or no? Anybody?
I'm still working on it.
All right.
Yeah,
I'm still searching.
I'm still
Okay.
looking as well.
But I'm hoping that you've got it there. You want to keep it in the same location, so the same folder. And like I told you, mine was C:/users /JP Scott. Yours, it depends on how your machine is set up. And for those of you who later are going to be watching this on tape, All right. You're following along right now. These are all the steps. So we are going to be able to try something in just a couple minutes once everybody has found that file and renamed it. All right. So we'll be able to try something and you'll be able to tell whether or not you can get on. When we did this last year, the Mongo Shell, which is Mongo SH, was loaded in when you did the regular load, when you did the install that we did. We didn't have to go through any of this, jumping through these hoops. Everything just worked.
Mr. Scott,
Yeah.
I don't have that file.
Okay. Do you have, is your main drive the C drive?
Yeah, I only have one drive.
Okay. Do you have a users folder in there?
I do, yeah.
All right. Do you have a folder in there like with your name on it or your login or whatever?
Yeah, well, I just went ahead and just went to this PC and just searched for the entire PC.
Right. No, I understand.
Okay.
But what I'm asking is, you said you're on the C drive, you have a users folder, and you have a folder under that that's got your name or your login, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Then create a brand new empty file there with that name. Use the one in blue. Clayton, did you find yours?
No.
Okay,
have
then you'd
not.
probably have to do the same thing. Michael, did you find it?
Nope. When I searched it, it came back with nothing.
Okay.
Same.
So again, with mine, it was under C:\users /JP Scott, which is my login. And this file was underneath there. You should hopefully have some path similar to that on your machine. And if you found nothing, create an empty file with this name on it. Now, it's possible that the error I had yesterday when I did this, you won't
Mr.
even
Scott.
get. I don't know, because every machine seems to be a little bit different.
Mr. Scott.
Yes.
Since I don't have it, so do I just make a new file like you said, right? And just
Yes.
name it that? Okay.
Yes. Make sure you put the dot there too. All right, now will be the big reveal, because if it doesn't work for you guys, it's very hard to go on. So we're going to have to sit there and try to figure out what the problem is. So I'm taking for granted that by now you have all had the chance. To go and create that file if need be. All right. So I'm going to come back in here before I do anything, and I know I'm going to lose my share for a second, but that's okay. I want you to go to your desktop, please. Go to your desktop. No file in the desktop, just to the desktop itself. All right, and I'm changing to mine in just a second. All right. All right, once you change to the desktop, start up a session. So do your git bash here. If you don't want to do it from there, you should also be able to run this just from a DOS command window. So in other words, if you don't want to run it from here, it doesn't matter. Then you can go to your search screen in the bottom left-hand corner and type in there CMD and hit enter, and it'll bring up a DOS window. You can do it from there too. It really and truly should not matter. All right. So again, I'm taking for granted that you're all here. Now, I'm going to have you type something in. Please don't hit enter for a second. We want to type in, some people call this MongoD, some people call this Mongodb. All right. Depending on who you are and your religious beliefs, etc. Some people are very put off on that. But what this is right here, when we've been using Node and you go and you run your program, you know, and basically you've got this server up and running and you give it a port. That's kind of what we're doing here. It sounds a little goofy, but we're going to have to open up 2 terminal windows. This is the first one. All right. And it's going to give you a whole bunch of junk, but you can't do anything there. You just have to leave that running. When you're done at the end of the day, when you're done with it, you just do a Control-C, and that should basically stop it. So if you see my screen, I'm gonna maximize it, and I'm gonna hit enter. And it gives, there it is, all this junk. My hope is you got something that looks similar to that when you hit enter. Now, if you hit enter, you don't have to tell me this, but if you hit enter and you got a not found or something else, I'm going to have to work with you one-on-one on this. All right. If it came up and it looks something like this, and there's I mean, I don't know what all this is. There's a bunch of processes that are running in here. If that worked, okay, then you can minimize that screen. Don't close it, minimize it. Click the minus sign. All right. I am going to go in and start up another git bash here, and I'm going to change here my, whoops, don't want to do that. I'm going to change my share because right now I've lost the share. So I'm going to change my share so that it is back on this second one that we just put in there. All right. So then just type in Mongo, oops, got to spell it right, sorry. Mongo SH and hit enter. You'll get some gunk that'll come up. All right. But if it came up and it says connecting to up on the top here, and then you've got all this stuff, it worked. So let me ask, out of the 3 of you, can you give me a yes, it worked, or a no, it didn't work? All 3 of you, one at a time, please.
Yes, it worked.
Okay.
I got an error. It says while running, and it says, well, we just typed in the .mongo shrc.js. Illegal operation on a directory.
Yeah, that's what I got at first. So I'm going to have to do some looking at this, John, and I'll look during the break, which I'm going to give you in a couple of minutes, and see maybe there's a different place you're supposed to put it. I don't know. Clayton, did yours work?
No, I had the same error.
All right, so you both got that error that it was looking for that. All right, we're going to take a break, but before we do, I just want to take a minute to go over this window. All right. You also get out of this window the same way I told you to get out of the Mongodb window, with a Control-C. All right. So it tells me yours is, I'm sure your login ID is different. And if you see this, the reason I'm showing you this is what our IDs are going to look like now. Something like along the lines of this, which is pretty damn ugly. All right. It's telling me it's connecting through my own machine, which is the loopback or 127.0.0.1. And it's using port 27017. And as I mentioned yesterday, that's the port that Mongo uses. All right. And I also have a using MongoDB and a using Mongo Shell. All right. Right here it says for Mongo Shell information, that's right where I had you guys go yesterday, basically. All right. And then it says the server generated these startup warnings. The reason I'm going through this with you is eventually we're all going to be right here. So why Michael's there and you guys aren't, I don't know, but I'm going to try to look up that error during the break. Okay. And, but what it's saying here is, hey, you're going to get all these messages that are going to come up every time you start this thing. You're going to get these messages, all this stuff in here. And they tell you if you don't want it. So what is it? It says enable Mongo's free cloud-based monitoring service. All right, which will then receive and display metrics about your deployment. You can read all the rest of it. And it says if you want to enable it, you can run this command. I have never enabled it because from what I've read, and I could be wrong, but this is from reading online, it comes up with a lot of garbage and gibberish you don't need. But if you want to permanently disable it, you type in db.disable free monitoring paren, and all of the stuff that we'll be doing in here after the break is case sensitive. So disable, if you see right there on my screen, is lowercase. All right. Free is got an uppercase F, and monitoring has an uppercase M. All right. So right now, and am I right here? Please, all of you answer. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So right now, what I'm supposed to be able to do is type in here CLS, and it's supposed to clear the screen. And it doesn't do a flipping thing. Yours might, Michael, if you try it. I don't know. All right. This is what I sent the email to the technical support today, showing them, because if I did something wrong or I had you do a wrong install, I want to know so I can let you know. All right. So would either John or Clayton, I don't care, one of you take the lead for a second, please, and tell me the exact, and say it slowly, the exact error message. In fact, even better than that, we're going to take a break in about 2 minutes. And if you could try to do a screenshot of the error that you're getting, and you'll go into a ping file or something, put it into a folder, zip the folder, and email it to me as soon as you can, because I'm going to give you 15 minutes. And my hope is at that time or during that time, I'm going to be able to figure out what the problem is and we can fix it so we can all go on. You can all watch me, but that you don't learn by sitting there and just watching me. I want you to watch me, but do it along with me. That's what I'm looking for. All right. So I've got, it just ticked over. It looks like 12:59. I'm just going to give you till 1:15. So again, if one of you can please send me that, I'd be most appreciative. Thank you. We'll meet up again at 1:15. Again, you have to put it into a folder and zip the folder. Otherwise, our spam filter will basically eat it and it won't accept it. Thanks, John.
Mention recent home sellers. If you sold a home since April.
All right, I'm hoping that you're back. We're going to try something. I don't have a clue as to whether or not it's going to work because it's already working on my machine. But what I'd like, Michael, you do not have to do this, but for you, John, and for you, Clayton, and for anyone who watches this on video that is having the error that they were getting, and that was an error with that file, basically. All right. I'd like you to try this. So let me change my share. We're going to do this very incrementally. And what I mean is this. All right. I want you to open up yet another Git Bash window. All right. This is kind of combining some of the stuff we did yesterday, but I'm not sure if this is going to work or if it's not going to work. So if it doesn't, my apologies in advance. I'll keep looking at it. I've got some pages I've been reading through for the error, and I'll keep doing it. All right. But once you're up here and you've got your window open, I want you to type in CD and then put in a tilde like we did yesterday. So CD to tilde and hit enter. Oops, try that again. All right. That should put you at the home directory. All right. And technically, I think I was there anyway, to be honest with you. I don't know if I was or not. But once you've done that, so let me clear the screen. I want you to type in ls -a and then type in Mongo. I think we can use a star Mongo star, but we'll find out. Star Mongo star and hit enter. It says no such, mine says no such file or directory. Yours might say that, yours might not. All right, you don't even have to tell me whether it says it or not. I want to see something here though. Okay, of course you don't like that. All right, because it says I don't have it on mine either here. All right, so I don't know, like I said, if this is going to work or it's not going to work. But if it came back, and my guess is yours came back and said something like no such file or directory, that would be my guess. All right, so we're going to try to make the file right here. So type in touch followed by the name of the file. What was it? Mongo shrc, I believe, .js. Try doing that. It may do absolutely nothing for you, but that should create an empty file right there for you. That's my hope. Again, it may be in the wrong location, and I'm not going to hit enter on mine because I don't want that. All right. If you've done that, then I would recommend going back and closing both of the windows that we have open. In other words, if the one that we tried doing the Mongo SH where yours didn't work, do a Control C and type in exit. And the other one that we have already open that looks like this big mess, I'm going to again do a Control C. And again, I'm going to click exit. So we have no Git Bash windows open. All right. But I'd like you then on your desktop to open a Git Bash window, please. And hopefully I didn't hear anything to the contrary. So it sounded like when you typed in Mongodb and you hit enter, it sounded like that worked. All right. So with that open, then try to open up another Git Bash here. And this time try to type in Mongo SH. Now, if it turns out that you get the same error, first of all, tell me if that's what happens. And if that's the case, then what I'm going to ask, because I will abbreviate what I'm doing right now, I just want to go over some of the major commands. You can still watch, and I'll give you a cheat sheet later too, that's got a lot of the stuff that I'll be doing. All right. So if yours did not work, let me know. All right. If you got the same exact error, let me know. And if yours worked, let me know.
Mr. Scott, what did you say I should type into the first git bash window I opened?
Mongodb, Mongod. That one you keep running and then open up a second window, a second git bash window, and in there you will put in your Mongo sh. Again, if you get the same message, my apologies why yours wouldn't work and Michael's would work and mine would work. I don't know. All right, but I will keep looking. I promise you that.
Miss Scott. Yeah, it
Yeah.
didn't work. I got another error,
All right, same error or a different error?
like a different one.
All right, why don't you do a screenshot on that one and send me that one too then, okay? All right. And again, I'm sorry about this. I don't know what else to do. It would be much easier, again, if we were in a classroom to do some of this stuff, because then when you had problems, we could go look at it and try to figure it out together, but it is what it is, so. All right. Can you all see on the screen right now my connection right here to the Mongo shell?
Yes.
Yes, no?
Yes, we can.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to go down here. And again, unfortunately, I can't clear the screen. So let me hit enter a few times, but it's going to, you see what it's doing, not helping much. Now, I believe that all of you know what a database is. So we're not going to talk about databases right now. But remember that what we referred to in MySQL, what we referred to as a table, will now be referred to as a collection. All right. And what we referred to as a row or a record will now be referred to as a document. A database is still a database, and a field is still a field. All right. So, Michael, I guess you're probably the only one who's going to be able to follow along with this. Again, my apologies, but I'm going to type in here show space DBs and hit enter. Now, yours may not look like mine, and if it doesn't, excuse me, don't worry about it. There's a very good chance with yours it's going to have admin and config and local and nothing else. And if it has that, that's totally fine. If yours has different sizes on it, if all your sizes are 0, that's fine. So can I ask you, Michael, how many databases came up when you did this?
Those 3.
Those 3. Okay. Did it say 0.00 for the size?
No, 40K, 60K, and 40.
Okay. Again, that's fine either way. The admin, the config, and the local, you just get them. They're basically, they come with the thing itself. All right. Now, you all know this. I'm going to type this in. Michael, don't type this in. The rest of you, hopefully you can see on my screen well enough, but we would always do something like this. We would type in create database, hello, or whatever. You'd hit enter and boom, it would create that database. Then you'd say use followed by that database. You don't do it like that here. In many ways, this is kind of flipped on its side or on its top or whatever. You just do a lot of things differently here. So you do the show DBs All right. And when you do the show DBs, what it does is it shows you all the databases. All right. If you want to see what database you're currently in, all right, you type in just DB and you hit enter. Now that may not, I mean, you can see from my prompt, it says test. And then when I did it again, it said test. Your prompt may not always be the name of your database. All right. So DB by itself will show the current database name. Now let's say I want to create a new database. And I'm making this up literally off the top of my head. So we're going to create a brand new database that we're going to call people. All right. So we're about to create this. When we do this and we create this new database, it's kind of weird because the way that you create it is you say use followed by the name of the database. So I'm going to say here, notice if you look on the screen, I don't have one named people, but I'm going to type in use people and hit enter. And hopefully you notice my prompt has changed to people. All right, that's the good news. The weird news about this is if I type in show DBs, in fact, if I type in DB, it says I'm in the people database. But if I type in show DBs and hit enter, it doesn't show people there. And it doesn't because it's empty. Until we actually put something into the database, nothing will show. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to come in and again, if this was your database, all right, and we had just created it and made it active, we'd start creating tables. Remember, in here, tables are called collections. So if I type in here, show collections, it comes back empty because I just created the database. All right. So, again, you might say, well, big deal. Who cares? Well, the way that we start to create a collection is, again, it's a little strange compared to what we used to do. What do I mean? Well, right now, we're going to create a collection and we're going to put a record or a document into it right away. Okay? So I'd like you to type in db dot, and this will be the name of the collection. We've got a database called people, so we'll call this persons. So db.persons.insert1, and again, this is case sensitive. The O is capitalized in there. All right, and we will put in here name, and then in double quotes, put your own name in there. Totally fine. And then end it like this. Right? What this will do is it will create a new collection, which again is synonymous with a table, and it'll put a new record synonymous with document into there. So when you put that in, and notice the whole thing is surrounded by parentheses, and then inside, in the curly braces, what you are putting in there is a BSON object. Again, we talked a little bit yesterday about BSON, and I told you BSON stands for binary JSON. So again, in this one act, we are creating both the collection and a document for the collection. All right, so put that in and hit enter, and notice, take a look at our ID. That's pretty butt ugly, in my opinion. 633 C7 B7 FB, etc. Now, we can create more records, and if we want to, we can put in our own IDs. And that's not recommended that you do it like this. Also, just so you know, if you create a bunch of records in a row, so instead of using an insert one like this, you put in an insert many. All right. You have no guarantee that these numbers in here. So let's say that this was 2900. You have no guarantee that the next one will be 2901, then 2902, etc. You have there's no guarantee that that's the case. All right. Now you'll notice if I come back and I type in show collections, that it says persons. It's showing me that there is a collection. Not only that, if I type in show DBs, now you'll notice that my people DB is in there. All right, like I said, this is just a different way of looking at things. All right. Now, when we were working in MySQL or any relational database management system, if we wanted to see all the records that were in people, we'd say select star from people. We don't do that anymore. When you want to read something, it's, and Michael, you can do this, DB is database, just so you know, dot, the name of the collection, which is persons, dot, find, like that. That's the record right here. So it has an ID with this and a name with this. Now, what's going to happen is, as you know, we're going to create another record in a minute, but as you start putting more and more fields into it, it tries to put all of it in one line. And even though it'll line wrap, it's pretty ugly. So we can do it. I don't know if it's going to change it for this because we have so few fields, but you can say db.persons, Michael, you can do this, .find, .pretty. Now it didn't change it at all there, but what you'll notice is if we start creating collections with documents inside that have more fields, it'll format it quite nicely. But right now, with just the two fields in there, basically it looks the same. All right. Now there's different things that we can do in here. All right, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to have us attempt at least to put in a few more records. All right. So let's come in here and do a db dot persons dot insert many. All right. Now, since we are putting in several of these, they'll be in an array. You know that when you use an array in this language, it's still JavaScript. It's binary JavaScript object notation as opposed to straight object notation, but we use the brackets. So we'll come in here and we'll add another couple things. So inside of here, I'm going to put this. I'll put name, and let's put Michael. Take it that's how it's probably spelled. So Michael. Let's see. And we'll put in another one. John. And we'll put in another one with Clayton. All right, it wrapped, but that's no biggie. All right, but when we end this, we need to put our curly brace in. All right. In fact, my guess is this probably isn't going to work because I think let's see, we'll see. Clayton, yeah. And then we will need to end our array with a bracket, and then we will need to end our parenthesis. And I hit enter. And you'll notice now I've got 3 records in here. It's telling me that it inserted 3 things and it's showing me the IDs. And you'll notice that in this case, right here, they do have sequential IDs. All right. Again, this isn't that big a thing. But what I'm showing you is we now put in 3 different people. And we use the insert many as opposed to coming in here and using an insert one. All right. So I'm going to come back and again do a db.persons.find paren and hit enter. And there they all are. All right. Now this would be the time if we had everything working for everybody. I would say now go in and try to put in a couple more records. I'm not going to worry about that right now. All right. But this, what I've shown you using either the insert one or the insert many. All right. I've shown you the C or the create that we, of CRUD in MongoDB. And by using the find, all right, which we just started doing here, okay, we're going through the R in read. Before the end of the period today, we'll do an update and we'll do a delete so you can see everything. All right. Now, when you do the db.persons.find, you can filter. What do I mean? Well, right now, when we did the db.persons.find, as you can see on your screen, it returned 4 records. But there's nothing at all to stop us from doing this. And you can, again, Michael, you can follow along if you'd like. db.persons.find. And what I'm going to put in here is we're going to filter. So I'm going to say here, name, Jeff. You don't want to use my name, use your own. It doesn't matter. Then end this and end this and hit enter. And you'll notice that only a single name is returned. All right. Now, had there been more than one Jeff in here, it would have returned all of them. All right. If I run this again and I do a db.persons.find, and now I come in here and I put in a name of Nicholas, who's not in there, and you know he's not in there. All right, and hit enter. I don't get an error because I haven't done anything erroneous. But the system is telling me that there is nothing in here that meets our criteria. All right, so let's see. So let's try this. And when I give you this one, I'm not sure exactly what to type in. It's one of two things, so I'm going to try one. And knowing me, I'll pick the wrong one, but we'll try it anyway. So I'm going to do a db.persons.find. All right. Then inside of here, I'm just like we just did, and I'll pick a different person. Whoop, parenthesis. Okay, and I'll do a name again, just so you know. You can put the name in here in double quotes. You can put the field name in double quotes. Again, key value, key value, etc. So you can do that. All right. It's a little more work to do it, so why should you? But you can. All right. So I'm going to put in here name, and again, I'm going to put in here Jeff, but I'm not going to run this. All right. So I've got name in there, Jeff, but what I'm going to put in here now is something a little different. I'm going to end this, whoops, and I'm going to put in here a comma, and I'm going to say underscore ID :0, name :1, like that. All right, and let's see. And it probably won't work unless I put this into a curly brace too. All right. And end my curly brace here. And put a paren in. Let's see if it works. All right. Now, unexpected token near the comma. Okay, what does that mean? Well, it means that I screwed up, and I'm looking at my own code here for my own example. db.persons.find name Jeff, comma. Okay, I know what the problem is. I needed, okay, let's just do it right. Let's see, wait, curly brace underscore ID colon 0 name colon 1. All right, it does not like the comma, but when I did these, because I ran a bunch of these yesterday, all right, and it worked. So I'm trying to figure out what the problem is. db.persons.find. Comma. It is a comma that you put in there. All right, this may be what the problem is. We'll see. db.persons.find name Jeff, comma. Nope, it didn't like that. What is supposed to happen here, I'm not sure why it's not working, but let's just go over it anyway. When you want to print out just certain fields, if what you do is you preface one of the fields with a 0, it means not to show it. And when you preface it with a 1, it tells you that you should show it. All right. Like I said, I've got a bunch of things that I wrote here, and for whatever reason, it's not finding it. All right. And it's okay. We will, believe me, we will eventually get this. All right. So that's a little bit, not done well, but it's a little bit of talking about filtering. There's ways, and I'm going to try this. So db.persons.count documents. And it tells me how many records are in there. There's 4. There's Jeff, there's Michael, there's John, and there's Clayton. All right. Now I'm going to come back in here, and just to show you that we can do this, all right, just to show you that we can do this, I'm going to say db.persons.insert1, and I'm going to put in another name of Jeff. But when I do this now, I'm going to also add, I'll just say age 65, not quite 66 yet, like that. All right. So you might say, well, big deal. It actually is a big deal, because if I go back now and do my db.persons.find like we did before and hit enter, you'll notice that one of my documents in here is not like the others. All right, it has 2 fields in there. If I wanted, I think I said this yesterday, but if I wanted to do something similar to this, what we're doing right now, if I wanted to do this inside of SQL, so inside of a relational database management system, such as MySQL or MySQL, I'd have to go back to the table, add another field, and these would all be null then. And then I could add this. So I make an age field. But in here, there's nothing that says that every single document in a collection must be the same. Quite often, they will be either the same or similar. But, again, There's all sorts of stuff that we can do. And I think I gave you this example yesterday. I want to say it again to you. And that is what I'm not going to do this now, but what if I added another record and I added after age, I put in hobbies and I put one thing. Then I added another record and I had multiple hobbies. These are things that you can do in a NoSQL database like MongoDB that you cannot do directly in a relational database management system. All right. Now, if I go back in here and I do this, if I type in db.persons.find, all right, and I come in here and I put in name, Jeff, you'll notice now you'll notice I get 2 returned. All right, no surprise there, okay? Because find by itself finds every match. On the other hand, if I do a db.persons.find, instead of find, I do a find one with a capital O, and I come in and say name, Jeff, and hit enter. It only finds the first one that's in the table. All right. And again, what I'm showing you, this is not gee whiz type of stuff. I understand that. But I wanted to run through a few things, a few of these things with you. All right. Now, let's suppose that this is me right here, that this is a different Jeff and that's me. Okay. So it isn't, but let's just say it was just my birthday. So in other words, I want to update my age so that it's not 65 anymore, it's 66. All right. So I can do a db.persons.update1. And I can put in here very similar to what we did before, not identical, but we're going to put in this. We're going to say age 65. And notice, since it is a numeric field, we do not put, all right, double quotes around it. All right, so there's the current age, but what we want to do is we want to say $set. Set what? Age, and make it 66. Paren, there. All right. And it's letting us know that it matched one record and it modified one record. Let's take a second and actually look at what's in here. So you've seen now the syntax for a lot of these things. All right. You've seen the syntax for an insert. You've seen the syntax for an insert one, I should say. You've seen the syntax for an insert many. You've seen the you've seen the syntax for a find. You've seen a syntax for a find one. Now you're looking at the syntax for an update one. All right. There is an update many, but there is, everybody's got a name, but virtually other than 2 of them, they're all different. But if I come back now and again do my db.persons.find.pretty and hit enter, there they are. And you see that indeed that age has been updated to 66. All right. So again, we could do an update many. I don't feel like right now going in there and having a field, etc. I'm just going to go a little further. And the reason I'm doing it like this is I don't want to get too far until we can get John, Clayton, and anybody else who ends up having problems with this on board. But I did want to show you some of the stuff that's in here. All right. So delete and delete one are kind of what you think they would be. All right. So in other words, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to say db.persons, all right, dot delete one, and we will put in here name Jeff. And you can make your own guesses as to which one will be deleted. But I'm going to hit enter. All right. Acknowledge true, delete count equal 1. So one of them should be gone. So if I do a db.persons.find, you'll notice the one that was removed was the first one that it found. All right. If I were to go back in here now, and I'm going to do it, I'm going to do a db.persons.insert one with a capital O. And again, I'm just going to say name, just so we got a little bit of different stuff in here. So name, oops, sorry. Name, and let's put another Clayton in here. All right. And again, I have no idea what your age is. I don't care, but I'm going to also put in here age, and we'll put in here 26. All right. And now if we do our db.persons.find, you'll notice that we now have in here, well, maybe it didn't take it. Oh, it's down here. Okay. There it is. All right. And it must have been a little bit too wide. So let's try doing this. Let's try a db.persons.find.pretty and see if it does do any. No, it made it look the same. Okay. But what I wanted to show you is this. So we do have two Claytons in here. How do I know that? I'm going to come in, and as we did a little bit ago, I'm going to do a db.persons.count documents. Now we did this before and we got like 4 or whatever it was. I don't know. But I'm going to come in and I'm going to ask for those, but I want it with a name that's Clayton. And it shows me that there's 2. So there are 2 Claytons now that we have in here. But if I come in and do a db.persons.delete many, and I put in here again, name Clayton, and hit enter, now it tells delete count is 2. So if I do another db.persons.find and hit enter, now we're down to 3 records. All right, Clayton has been removed. All right, so I have now shown you, again, because I'm trying to be fairly, specific here and show you quite a few of these, but I have shown you the major, all right, I've shown you the major CRUD operations. We've now gone through create, which again was either an insert one or an insert many. We've gone through the read, which was a find or a find one. We have gone through the update, which was an update one or an update many. And we've gone through the delete, which was a delete one or a delete many. All right. Now, what I normally go into right now is I'd start to go into some more complex filtering. I don't want to do that because, again, I don't want to do this until you guys are caught up, until we've got your stuff working. We got to do that. This is something that's got to be done by tomorrow. My guess is there's at least a chance with the 3 people who will hopefully be watching this on video that one or more of them will probably have the same problem you're having. So again, this has to be fixed. And as I showed you before, Control L does not clear and CLS does not clear. So if I did something wrong with the basic setup in here, I don't know what it is, but it is possible that I did. That's what I'm telling you. All right, So what I want to show you on here, let me change my share. All right. So give me just a second here, and we're going to call it a period. But before we do that, give me just a second here. And I'll get rid of this. 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 And then we'll get all right. Get my stuff together here. So hold on. Just give me a second, please. All right. So I'm going to change in here. I'm going to change my share again for the last time, probably today. Nope, I will have to do it again. So what I'd like you to do, and you can all do this, is I'd like you to go out to the URL that's shown on your screen. Hopefully you can see it. It's https://gist.github.com and a bunch of other stuff. I could email it to you, but by the time I email it to you, you could probably key it in. All right, just to be sure, I'll email it to you anyway. So if for some reason you're a little typing deficient, you'll be able to have it in just a second. Oops. So come on. There. All right. And once that comes over by you, or if you've had a chance to successfully key it in yourselves, what you're going to see on the screen is this. All right. I have given you Brad Traversy stuff before. This is Mr. Traversy's MongoDB cheat sheet. This is not the one that I used. All right. But there's some good stuff in here. All right. The other thing too is I don't know if you've heard of this, and if you have, then you're a lot more up to date than I am. But in a way, when you go out to GitHub, you can create what's called a gist. And in many ways, a gist is kind of like if you're in Twitter and you create a tweet. It doesn't have the size restriction of whatever it is, 140 characters or whatever, but it's the same kind of an idea. And this is Mr. Traversy's MongoDB cheat sheet put in as a GitHub gist. So you'll notice the show DBs, DB, use, etc. This is how we could drop a database we don't want anymore. You can create a new collection. I didn't do it like that. I just immediately started going in with the insert and it created the collection for me, but you can do that. Show this. Here's an insert, and what I like about this example is notice how he's putting this stuff in there. This is truly a BSON object. So you've got what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 fields. A title field, a body field, a category field, a tags field, a user field, and a date field. In addition, it shows you some of the stuff that you can repeat, can do in MongoDB that you cannot do in a relational database management system such as MySQL. So here, what is our field? Well, here it's a string. Here it's a string. All right. Here it's a string. Here it's an array of strings, which is totally legit. All right. Also, what we have here is we have an embedded object. So in other words, posts has a user object, and that user object has in it, all right, a sub object really with a name and a status. All right. So he shows you the insert there. And I didn't know you could just say insert. I thought you needed to say the insert one. So I'm not sure if that would work without the word one or not. And here's an insert many. And you'll notice that in each case here, what we have is we have in here 3 different BSON objects that we are inserting into our posts collection. All right. And then he's got a find to find everything, formatting it with pretty, finding it with just rows. So notice in here, he's got category news. So we'd have to go back and look. Well, there's category news, so it's going to find that one. That's technology, it won't find that one. There's news, it will find that one. And there's entertainment, so it won't find that one. So what we're doing again here is rather than finding everything, we are starting to put in criteria. There is no where statement in MongoDB. So this is how we do it. All right, you'll notice, and I haven't shown this yet, but you can sort. And I could be wrong on this. I believe the one is ascending order and the -1 is descending order. Again, you'd have to check that out yourselves to be sure, but I'm almost positive one is ascending because it's going upwards and -1 is descending. The count I already showed you. All right, but notice here they're doing a count. And again, this isn't exactly the way that I showed it to you. All right, I did a count documents, but with much of this stuff, if you look at enough of these different cheat sheets, there'll be oftentimes very, very many ways of doing the same thing. There's a limit, very similar to the limit that we had when we were working and doing MySQL queries. All right, so in this case, it's going to do a limit, but it's only going to show 2 of them. All right, you can do chaining. Again, the best way to learn this isn't to listen to me or somebody else pontificate on this stuff. It's for you to go in and create something and start running queries like this on it. All right. So there's chaining, and we've talked chaining before, not in here, but I know when we were in the jQuery part of the AWD1111 class, we talked chaining. All right. Notice you can run a for each. So what is this doing? This is going through the entire post thing and printing out blog post and the title for each one of these. So with what we have, it should print out blog post, post 1, blog post, post 2, blog post, post 3, and blog post, post 4. Not real original with his titles, but again, I believe at least you get the idea. All right. Again, we talked about find one. We talked about finding specific fields. We went through the update. All right. Now, this is a big one because the update that they're doing where it says update row, that is similar to the put statement that we were using about a week ago. All right, or more. But that is meant to update everything. So if you do an update like this and you do it like this, all right, then it's going to basically put in all those fields for that record. Then you notice there's something that looks weird on here. It says Upsert true. What does that mean? That means that when you're doing an update, if for some reason it doesn't find a match here, so if post 2 had been removed, as an example, you'd normally get an error message. But the cert part means if it doesn't currently exist, make it. So this would create, if it had to, a new document with this title and this body and this date. And you notice for the date, by putting date paren, it's basically going to create a new date object, which I believe will have today's date in it and probably midnight for the time. Now, when you come down to here, you'll notice that we're only updating a specific field or fields. So you'll notice right there, we use the $ set. I showed you this one when I updated my age from 65 to 66. All right. There's an increment. So if for some reason I had a bunch, they have likes right here, okay? And what that's going to do is that's assuming that on these posts, they have in here someplace how many people liked it. All right. Well, you don't see any in there at all right now. So what's it going to do? Kind of probably what you think it would do. And that is it's going to come through here and it's going to create a new field. If it needs to, call likes, and it'll give it a value of 5. All right. You can rename. You can rename a field. That is not that big a thing in MongoDB. That can be an unbelievably big adventure with using an altered table inside of a relational database management system like MySQL. All right. You can remove a record. Again, when you do this, just like before, this is the equivalent of us putting a delete on here. You don't want to do a db.post.remove and then like paren, because it may very well then delete every record. Here, we're only going to delete post 4. All right. Finally, when you look in here with this subdocuments, as it says, it is very similar to what I showed you before. We have the equivalent of documents within documents. All right. So again, when you think about it this way, and I think I said this yesterday, but I want to repeat myself, that when we were working in MySQL and we had customers and we had products and we had orders, those would be in 3 different tables. When you're doing it in MongoDB, you can put it into one table. That's going to make your tables bigger, but as far as being able to go in and access records, that'll happen faster because you won't have to perform joins. All right. In fact, you can do a certain amount of joining in here, but it's done in a different way that we're not going to talk about right now. Here, as it says, is being able to find something in an array, adding indexes. This is what I was going to get into with you. All right. But again, not everybody's is working, but let's just very quickly look at this. GT is greater than, GTE is greater than or equal to, LT, all right, LT is less than, LTE is less than or equal to. There's also some that aren't shown here. $EQ for equal, $NEQ for not equal. So you can check things like that. All right. And that's it. All right. I know that there are other cheat sheets out there. I didn't want to give you one that I thought would just be so big, etc., that it would be, almost overwhelm you. All right. What I am going to try to do as soon as I finish, and I'll finish up in 5 minutes or so, but as soon as I finish and get everything, send you your email, etc., and do all that other good stuff, is I'm going to go and try to track down the error that John and Clayton are having, because again, not only do I want it to work for them, I want it to work for everybody. And there's a good chance that the other people in the class, Nick and James and Mason, that they might run into the same error watching this. Okay, so we're going to try to see if we can finish this. Now, what I hope to do tomorrow is get that fixed, give you a chance to play with this a little bit, and then I'll probably go in and create a table. All right. I mean, you can create your own. That's totally fine. But by me creating a table, you'll have all the information and the data in there already. Then you can just start running some queries. All right. I was going to give you a worksheet and have you work on it, but the reason I'm not, I wanted you to be exposed to using MongoDB from the client side, using it through the Mongo Shell. All right. Well, one of you has had experience doing that today, and my hope is the rest of you will tomorrow. All right. And then we'll see where we are from there. But either Thursday or next Monday, what we're going to do, and maybe we'll wait until Monday so you've got plenty of time to look and play with this, is we're going to go into something that's called Mongoose. All right. Why? Because Mongoose will allow us to take these databases and bring them into our Node.js applications. You can do it without Mongoose, but it's a heck of a lot harder to do so. All right. And it's not done very often. Why? It's just like you can build like the way we've been using Express. You can do all that stuff that we did with Express without bringing in Express, but you're probably going to type in 30 or 40 more lines. All right. So again, when we look in here, I just want you to see this, that if I go into npmjs.org and I type in Mongoose, all right, what you're going to notice is it says that Mongoose is a MongoDB object modeling tool. All right, sometimes called an object modeling wrapper. It goes by a bunch of different names. Now, I'm not trying to waste your time, but the reason I'm showing you this is once we get into it, there'll probably at least come a time when you have some problems with it. So the official documentation is mongoosejs.com. These docs are good. A lot of the documentation that you see online, pardon my French, but it sucks. But here, this is the kind of stuff we're going to be doing. We're going to be defining our own schemas, and they show you how to do it in here, and they show you the different data types you can use. They show you how to create models, which we're going to do, etc. So they show you a lot of the different things that we are going to be going through in the upcoming weeks. All right. So the goal is by the end of the week is to bring everybody up to speed on using MongoDB for now from the command line. All right. What we want to do fairly quickly is we want to go and get into Mongoose, bring MongoDB into our node projects, all right, and then be able to take what we're working on and be able to save it. All right. In other words, we want our data to persist. Right now, with what we've been doing, that data has not been persisting. All right. But we want it to. So again, that's what we're going to be, I guess, doing next or whatever you want to say. So probably you can count on for tomorrow and Thursday. All right. You can count on those being days where we're going to just keep doing stuff from the command line. Friday will be a lab. You already all know this, but on Sunday, by midnight Sunday, the MySQL test is due. That's when you're creating the website. All right. And we'll just pick it up there tomorrow. All right. Thanks for coming in and listening. And again, I will blast out an email to all of you as soon as I figure out what the problem is that John and Clayton were having. I'll talk to you tomorrow.